Start whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna start with building value. I think we all know how to do a walkthrough and build value.
Hey, Nathan, really quick.
Uh-huh.
Just because there's a ton of new guys on here, could you just introduce yourself real quick? How long you've been
Oh,
doing it? What's kept you doing it? That kind of thing.
yeah, yep. I'm Nathan Salyer. This is gonna be my seventh summer coming up with ADT. I've knocked doors for almost 9 now. What's kept me with this job? The pay's awesome. I think it's a really good industry for anybody to start in and grow in, compared to other industries that have a really long turnaround time for getting the deals done or just don't pay that much. I really like that with ADT. We get a really good name. We work with a small group. Everybody's accounted for. The pay is fair. You don't have to negotiate it. Everybody starts on the same level there. And yeah, I see this as my way to retire and my way to invest into real estate and just be self-sufficient and be able to do this. Lets me, I make a sacrifice for the summer, and that lets me do what I want to do um, after the summer. Then I can go wherever I want to go and have that freedom that I want. So that's what's kept me doing this. And um and I like the team. I like the camaraderie. It's way different than any other job that you'll do, just a 9 to 5 job. The kind of work ethic and the kind of energy that we bring. And I think each office is a little bit different, but I think every office has a really good amount of high positive energy. Everybody's working towards the same thing. We're all helping each other with those problems and making each other better. That's why I like working with ADT and with Evo. So um, I know for anybody who's just started or gone on any blitzes, you guys have talked about gone through walkthrough and how to talk about the equipment. I don't want to take up a lot of time doing that. I want to talk more about building value after you talk about all the equipment, which is the part where you sit down. So um, after you, can you guys still see me if I'm on this other page?
Yeah, we can still see you.
Okay, cool.
No,
And
no,
so
it's frozen. It's frozen.
you guys are good. You can see me.
Yes, sir,
Yeah, you're
coach.
frozen.
Okay. So I wanted to basically the way the sale goes, after you do your pitch, you transition inside, you do the walkthrough. Now we're at the point where we want to, you build value with all the equipment and all the examples and their features and benefits. Now we want to build value as we sit down, so that when we drop the finance price, or the higher price, whatever it ends up being, that they're okay with it. And so um, first, what I'll do is I'll add up all the equipment, and then I'll say, perfect. When Now that we have all the equipment picked out, you mind if we take a seat somewhere and I can punch all this into my system and I can figure out what your discounts are? So I'll make the sitting down the reason for me to sit down is so that I can punch it all in and get them their price. That's what they want. They want to know how much it is. So yeah, I can help you. Now I can punch that in. You mind if I sit right there on the couch and I can figure that out for you? So I'll say something along those lines, and then I like to use the old, we call them schedule protection, the old SOPs, and I don't know if everybody still, if all you guys have those, but they look like this. Um, they look like these right here. And so the reason I like this is because this shows, it looks like a legit like work order that, and this is what I say, this is what corporate uses, and this is what any sales rep will use. If you call ADT, they're going to come out, and what happens all the time is they sell them the equipment, they upsell them a bunch of stuff that they don't need for way more than it costs. This is like a pretty normal setup: 3 doors, a glass break, smoke detector, camera, smart lock, and like the basic panel at the top. And so this makes it really easy for you to list out everything, and then I don't always write out the prices, but you can. You can use Copilot, whatever it says there, to write the cost of all the doors, glass break, smoke detector, and then you write that total cost. Like for Copilot, it'll say retail is 2,600 for a system like this, and you can say, yeah, that's pretty normal. That's what people pay when they call ADT. Now I know you didn't call us; we're coming to you, so we're gonna do something a little bit different. Um, we're gonna cover all the upfront cost. That's what I always say. I don't say we're gonna pay for everything, because if you say that, then when they realize they're doing a payment plan for the equipment, they're like, wait, I thought you were paying for everything. So you're saying we're covering all the upfront costs. We're crossing out that big number there, the $2,600, and then the lifetime warranty, install, and activation fee. And I'll make those fees at the bottom contingent upon qualifying. So yep, and then I should be able to waive all those other fees too. I just have to make sure that the house qualifies. So and then I'll say let's figure that out. Um, so depending on if they have good, if I feel like they're gonna have good credit, I'll qualify them afterwards. If I feel like they don't have that good credit, then I'll qualify them first. And so, but either way, we're sitting down. Um, let's say they have good credit, then we'll qualify them afterwards. I'm just going to go ahead and drop the price. Um, and so if we're doing it, my way of doing it is I always do it as if I'm financing them. If they don't qualify for financing, they're at least already okay with 96, 91, 86. So if I have to switch it over and drop the rate a little bit and maybe take off one device or two devices, then I know they're going to be okay with that, because it only makes their bill cheaper. And so what I'll say is, um, before I end up flipping the page over and showing them the price breakdown, I want to I want to level with them a little bit and compare the um, the alarm system to a smartphone, because it's something they already know. It's something they already make payments for, and it's kind of like how the alarm system works. The payments work for our system. So I'll say, now smart home is like a smartphone. Um, Smart home is also cellular, like we talked about. Smartphone is cellular. Um, the only difference is with a smart home, you also have all those extra devices. You have cameras, you got cloud storage. It's also being monitored 24/7, and it's protecting your whole home and family. So, I mean, if you had to pick, if you had to guess, like what would be more valuable, what would you say, a smart home or smartphone? And then they always say, "Oh, well, yeah, like smart home, of course." So, and then I'll say, well, most people pay for their smartphones is anywhere from 60 to 120 bucks for their smartphones. With smart homes, usually cost around 140 to 160 or more. I'll say, like other companies, ADT is pretty fair, but other companies will charge like 180 or 200 bucks a month for a bigger system. Um, I'm not going to do that to you guys today, but that's what it normally costs. So I'm getting in their head that I want them to understand, like, that's the norm, because I don't, some people, they've already talked to Vivint and they've already seen a big price. So when you drop it, it's easy. Some people, first time home buyer, and they've never looked at alarms. If you don't help them understand what's a normal rate, then when they get the price drop, they're all taken back and like, oh, that's expensive. Like, but they don't know what's expensive because they don't know what to expect. So help them know what to expect, compare it to a phone, and then help them realize that the smart home is a lot more valuable. There's more pieces connected, moving parts. It's a lot more important. And so obviously it's going to cost more. So um, I'll say most smart homes are around 140 to 160 for the whole system. And then I'll use some of these slips here. Let me turn this around. Some of these SOPs, we call it schedule protection. I'll use some of these, and I'll find one that is kind of similar to theirs, and I'll say, yeah, your system, we did this one a couple weeks ago. Yours is pretty much like this. They've got two doors. They did two cameras, a motion, a smoke detector is about 2,300 bucks for that, and the panel, the cell unit, and everything. Lifetime warranty, install, activation, about 2,300 bucks. But the cool thing is with them, we were able to get them our discounts, and we got it way cheaper. Here's what we did for them, and then I'll flip it over. If you don't have a SOP, um, who all actually has these in their office? Does anybody else have these in the other offices, or just the Baton Rouge or the
We've used
office?
them in the past. I typically use my iPad, but we do have them and occasionally use
Okay.
them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you don't have to use this. You can just use a blank piece of paper, or you can kind of like make your own format and print them out. I just like these, but I need to get some more. But then I'll flip it over. I'll say, so I'll sit down. I'll say, smart home is like a smartphone. Smart home's bigger, more important, costs more. I get them to agree, and then I'll say most smartphone bills are around $100 or $80. And then I'll ask them. I'll say, what do you guys pay for instance, what do you guys pay for your smartphone bill? If they tell me, oh, I have AT&T, it's $80 a month for each line, and it's like 300 altogether. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a piece of cake. This will be easy because they're already used to paying a big bill. So when I drop that alarm bill that's $86, they're like, oh, okay, that's not a big deal. But if they're with like Cricket or Metro, and it's $30 a month, I'm gonna have to add some more value, give some more examples, and compare it to them, or do some more discounts. So I'll compare it to a phone, and compare it to their home. Then I'll flip it over and I'll break everything down so they can see how this price makes sense. I'll say, yeah, just the cellular on your phone. If you have, we use Verizon cell towers, so they charge us $60 for the cellular. That's right there. Then you have the monitoring, and the nice thing is the monitoring is pretty cheap. It's been the same rate for years. It's it's 27.99, um, or you can say like $1 a day. You could technically you can make these whatever you want, but that's just what I put because I saw it on an ad, and so I'll say, yeah, the monitoring's 27.99. That's the police, fire, medical. That's who dispatches. That's who's checking all the sensors. Who calls you when something happens and you're not there. Um, that's who's sending the police for you. So, and then there's the cloud storage. I don't know if you can read that. Okay, the cloud storage, that's $15. That's for the NestaWare Plus package for the cameras to save 24/7. All the motion clips, the unlimited storage, the facial recognition, the video analytics in the cameras. That's why these ones are a whole lot better than the ones you get on Amazon, or like a basic Wi-Fi camera. So comes with the cloud storage. We set that up for you. And then the equipment, everybody's system is a little bit different, so the equipment varies. But I'd say your system is closer to the $30 range. I'd put like 20 to $30. And so just like you pay like 20, $30 for your phone every month. So I'm already kind of implying that they're going to pay monthly for this, kind of like they pay monthly for their phone. And so then when we add all this up, 60 plus 30, that's 90, plus another 15, that's 105, plus another 30, that's 135. So 135, right? That's right in between 130, 140. If you taxes and everything, closer to 140. That's pretty normal for a regular system. And that's what what you could pay with ADT corporate if you didn't want to just, buy it all outright like this. That's what you would normally pay. Now, since we came to you and you're part of our advertising program, we're doing something totally different. We want to make it really easy because we're going to basically, um, we just want to get these two systems set up and done so that everybody else can see, the new system in the neighborhood that everybody's using. So for you guys, we'll do it a little bit differently. I get to add a bunch of discounts based off of your guys' family dynamic. So then I'll grab my iPad. If I'm sitting next to them, you don't want to be doing this right next to them. You want to be like to the side. You don't want them looking at you and seeing that you're not actually typing in real discounts. But basically, you need to make them feel special for the rate that you're giving them. So, and that's part of, as you walk through their house, you look at pictures. If you see like somebody was in the army or something, or they have kids, or um, they have started their own business, something like that, then as you're typing up, you turn to the side, you're going to ask them for any kind of um, something that you could use as a discount to justify making the rate cheaper. People do this all the time. When I was trying to move and hire a mover to get a bunch of furniture over to a different state, they do the same thing over the phone. And so what we would what I always say is like, cool. Do you have anyone that was in the military, um, and or anyone that works for the medical department, city, state, government employee, teacher? Do you have any students? And if they say no to all that, I'll say, do you have any dependents, like any kids or anyone that you have to take care of when you claim on your taxes? Because those are other people will get discounts for that. So I just try to think of anything I could possibly do. Were you guys affected by the hurricane? Oh, you were? Okay, cool. Let's and so I'll be typing all these things in, and I just basically am on the equipment page, just like swiping up and down, and maybe tapping on a camera picture, so like my screen lights up, and it looks like I'm adding stuff in. So I want them. Basically, the point is, I want them to feel special about the rate we give them. I want them to know it's personalized just for them, and that this isn't something that anyone else gets. So so I'll add up all those discounts, and then I'll slide over to the equipment page. Actually, open this. Um, Uh, at this point, I've already typed up all the equipment, and I'm sliding over to the summary, and then I look at it. And I'm like, oh, wow, actually, okay. And then I'm like, oh, that's a lot less than I thought. Then I'm just gonna be really surprised, and when I drop the rate, I'm like, okay, so your system was supposed to be about 142 with everything that we talked about, but actually it's only $86. That's it. That's for everything. And at this point, I won't look at it. I'm just kind of like kind of waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm nodding, kind of, and just looking down, and I'm waiting for a reaction. The person who speaks first is usually the person who loses. Uh, when you're trying to persuade someone, so I wait, and if I get an eye, even if it's something small, like they raise their eyebrows, like, oh, or they're just like, huh, and I just see them kind of thinking like that. If they don't want it, they will say something. They'll say, oh, no, yeah, I can't, But if they just kind of, if they don't say anything, or if they give me like a huh, um, I don't like to say, does that sound fair? Because some people will say, oh, that sounds fair, but, and then it kind of gives them an out. So I don't say that. Some people do, but I'll just say, yep, that's it. That's for everything. And then I'll just nod my head and pause for a second. And if they don't say anything, I'll say, yep, the only thing we have to do to make sure we can get that rate right here is just a few things. Well, one, we want to make sure you guys qualify, and so that way I can get that rate. And then all we ask is just a few things. I'll mention this earlier in the pitch, but then I'll restate the three things that we ask for in return, for because we'll waive your install. We'll actually cover the equipment cost, or sorry, the warranty cost, and then we'll also waive your activation if you qualify. But in order to do that, we just ask for a few things in return. One is to keep the sign out front, right? That's the whole point of the advertising. We want everybody to see that. Two is you got to be flexible with our technicians. You're getting a free install because the techs are already in the area, and I'm able to just fill you in with their open slots. And so while they're here, as long as they have a open slot, then we'll fill you in that spot while they're here, and they can install it for zero. Um, that way, we're not paying somebody extra to come back out. So as long as you be flexible with the timing for the technicians, and then the last thing is, I'll kind of like put these together. The last thing is, don't brag to all the neighbors about the special rate we gave you, because if they ask, obviously this rate is just for you. I can't do this for everybody. So those three things, and then if you can help refer us to your friends and family, that'd be awesome. So I'll usually ask them, you think you could do that? And then they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, everybody's cool with saving $100 and then 200 activation, all that stuff. I don't mess with the activation right here. Whenever I add it all in, I just leave it. I don't drop it down. If they're okay with $80, they'll be okay with $86. It's the same thing in their head. Um, so then I'll say, cool. We'll just make sure that you guys we can get that rate and that we qualify for that. I just need to do a quick utility check. You're the homeowner, right? Okay, perfect. And at this point, I would have already clicked on their name on the map, and I'll populate the address and everything. So it should have the address already filled in. I'll say, "Are you John?" "Oh no, that was the old owner." "Okay, cool. What was your name?" And then I'll type it in, and I'll get them qualified. So, um, I mean, you guys already know how to. We've already trained a lot of times on how to qualify and do all that. But then I'll just go through the process, save everything, and then with financing, I know we're trying to transition to skips, and I haven't gotten set up with that yet. But that's how you'll drop the rate, and then you do everything like normal. Don't do any financing stuff yet. They're okay with the $86. They already agreed on it, so go ahead and finish everything like normal. You don't need to worry them with how the financing works. They don't need to know the how. They just need to know their rate. At the end of the day, that's all they care about is what total is, $86. So save everything. Okay, and then before you get to billing, obviously we've been trained to schedule first. So I'll save it all up to this page, and then I'll say, like I said, I'll remind them. Like I said, we just ask you to be flexible with the technicians. They're already working here today. We're just doing those two, and then they're gonna move us. And so you guys do anything the rest of the day, and then oh, you're gonna be home. Okay, perfect. Cool. Well, what I'll do is I'll check the schedule. I'll see what it's looking like. While I'm doing that, what's gonna help the technicians out is if you can get the apps on your phone ready to go for them. That'll save them a ton of time. You guys, iPhone or Android? And then they'll tell me iPhone. I'm like, cool. If you want to grab your phone real quick, go ahead and pull up the App Store and then look up ADT control. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then that's keeping them busy. I want them to be busy while I'm trying to text into Pronto and ask the office what the schedule is, instead of them just sitting there looking at me thinking, oh, should I do this or should I not? I want to keep them engaged and keep them busy. So um, have them work on the app. You get it scheduled, or if you feel like it's still not super solid, don't schedule it. Just pretend schedule it. Get it ready before you hit send. To the office. Just get it ready, and then go ahead and grab billing. After they give you the billing, then you can for sure schedule it because they're gonna do it. So have them download the app, and then you say perfect. Last thing's billing. Billing's super duper easy. We work directly with your bank. You guys with Chase, Capital One, Arvis, Regions, Whitney, Navy Federal, Chase. Okay, cool, awesome, perfect. And then we let you guys pick the billing cycle. You do monthly, quarterly, annually. Most people just do monthly. That's the easiest. Does that work for you? Cool, awesome. And then is that going to be a checking or a savings? Checking. Okay, perfect. If you can go ahead and grab that routing account number for me, I can go ahead and punch that in for you. And then I'll just wait and I'll look down. And then if they pause for a while, I'll be like, yeah, do you have the Chase app? It should be on there. Or if you got old voided, you have old check somewhere, it should say the numbers on the bottom there. And they'll say, oh yeah, I got it. I got it on my phone. Cool. So once I get billing, and I have everything saved, all these are green all the way down the last page. Then I'll go ahead and do the financing portion of it, because I still need to make sure that they qualify for the financing. If I already qualified them for ADT, and on the first page here it was like a D, then I might not be 100% that they're going to qualify for the financing rate for the payment plan. So that's probably when I wouldn't schedule out right away, because I want to make sure that when the technician sees it on his schedule, it's set up right. So I don't want him waiting too long on me to finish. So if they qualify really well, it's like an A or B. Then yeah, maybe schedule. But if you're not sure, if it's like a D, or if it's like a D, then just go ahead and wait to schedule, qualify, save everything, and then do the financing setup, and we can do a separate training on how the SCIPS financing process will work. I still need to learn that process, but we're supposed to be able to qualify more people, so I'm looking forward to that, and work with more people with that financing group. So that's how I drop the financing price, and I make it make sense for the customer. Compare it to a phone. Help them get them to acknowledge what's more important. Let me flip this. Get them to acknowledge what's more valuable, phone or home. Obviously, home. Tell them what the normal phone bills are. Get an idea of what theirs is, and then break. Tell them what the normal pricing is for a smart home. Break it down. Get all the discounts collected for them, made personally for them, and then drop the rate. Make that contingent on three things. If we're gonna do something for them, they gotta do something for us. There's always a trade off. People like that because they feel like it's more believable. It makes more sense, because if we're giving all these discounts for no reason, then it almost can seem too good to be true. So you want to make a reason for those discounts, and then make them earn it. So then go ahead and qualify, save everything like normal, like do everything like normal, and then do the financing paperwork. If they don't qualify for financing, that's totally okay. We already know they qualified for ADT. So what I'll say is, okay, so yeah, we didn't qualify we didn't qualify enough for the payment plan for the equipment, but that's totally okay. I actually have a different option I think you'll like better. This is more of a friends and family deal. We don't really do this very often, but I can switch this over for you guys. I think you'll like this better because your rate will actually be a little bit less. With this package, ADT will actually cover a lump sum of the equipment, and then they'll drop your rate down too. I just have to stay within a certain budget for all the free stuff. And so it looks like here we've got all the alarm equipment covered. You've got 3 smart devices, doorbell, outdoor camera, and a smart lock on the list. I can get with this plan, I can get your rate down a little bit cheaper, but I just have to take off one of those because they'll only cover 2 for free. And then I'll ask him which 2, just for right now, if you had to pick the 2 that you would use the most, which 2 would you use more often? And then I'll let them pick. And most of the time it's cameras. Sometimes it's a smart lock, and you can get away with like an outdoor camera and a smart lock. But most of the time they want cameras. It just depends on like if they have a lot of kids or if they use the front door a lot. And then just don't make it like it's a bad thing. It's like, yeah, you can always add that smart lock later, or if you want, you could still add it today. You just buy the one smart lock, and we will just pay for everything else. And so you'll end up saving a ton of money this way because you're not paying the equipment off. You actually get it all for zero. You just buy that one smart lock, and most of the time they'll say, "Oh, I'll just wait on it," and let's just do all the free stuff. Cool. Yeah, your rate's gonna drop down about $20 cheaper, so it's only $75, or however much the difference was. Yeah, it's only $75 now. So, yeah, I think you'll like that a lot better. And then yeah, and then I just continue like normal, sign DocuSign. See. So those are the 2 options. I always try finance first, build the value, do all that like normal, so they understand why the rate is what it is. And then if I need to, I'll fall back on the regular deal. And that's if you do it that way, you're gonna make a lot more money. Your sales might take a teeny bit longer, but you're gonna make a lot more money that way. So that just opens up a lot of doors in that way too. if you realize, oh wow, this guy's got an A credit, I had no idea, um, that you're not having to like change everything and backtrack what you already said that, oh, you're going to pay for everything. Because now he wants 4 cameras and you're like, oh shoot, I told him I was going to pay for everything, but he wants all this stuff. So it's just easier to say, yeah, we'll cover all the upfront costs today. Um, most companies charge a minimum of $400 or $500 to get you started, and then they give you freebies. With us, we're going to cover all the fees, so you pay nothing today, and then you just take care of the monthly monitoring. And so that's how I do it when I'm at the door and when I'm selling them. Is there any questions with that process? If you guys, what I would do is make some bullet points, like little topics, so that you can remember the order of that process. If you want, I can even read off. I wrote some down. I wrote a little bullet points down. If you guys want to write this down, so you can keep it for your notes. Okay. So
Real quick, one thing you'll notice is like everything that Nathan does, like it's not a big deal. Like if you make it a big deal, the customer is going to make it a big deal. Like, oh, bummer, you didn't qualify. Like it's just very normal, very natural. It's not a big deal. Um, and then the customers chill with it too. So you just kind of have to, and that's kind of where body language and your tonality and all that comes into play. Is just acting as if everything's totally normal, natural, like you know, just rolling along with the process. So, but yeah, especially switching between finance or not finance, because obviously we can do it all for free at zero, or you can finance. But I like the transition between the two and just make it not a big deal.
yep, right. If you make it a big deal, the customer then gets upset. Now they're not excited. Now they feel guilty. Like you know, they feel bad because their credit's terrible or whatever. But instead, yeah, just make everything like it's easy. And then also, I've seen guys when they start out, they they end up hurting themselves when it comes to pay because they felt like they had to give the customer everything that the customer asked, and you don't have to do that. You shouldn't do that because the customer needs to understand that things cost money, and you're not like a magician, and you can't just pull out cameras out of your hat for no cost. So um, so what I always say is I'll say like, hey, this isn't me. The company gives me this budget, and that's what I have to work with. We'll get all this stuff covered, all the important stuff, and then some of those extras. If you want, you can add it now. You can add it later. If you want to add it now, since we didn't do the finance option, just pay for that one device, which is still saving you a ton. So that way they know I'm not just I'm giving out freebies if I want to. It's like I have certain rules I got to go by, and that way you don't end up hurting yourself. And obviously, if you need to give an ace and they're on the fence, yeah, I'll do whatever I have to do. Give them an extra camera, pay the first month or three, whatever you got to do to get the deal. But but yeah, I've seen a lot of people just throw away like $200-300 just because the person, they just thought they could just ask for whatever. So that's why I like to finance too, because when they want that extra camera, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's only an extra $6. That's it. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's put it on.
Yeah, and Nate, I wanted to hop on real quick.
Yeah.
To kind of along your notes, what you just said there. Last year, I remember we had guys in our office that were almost afraid to try to qualify for financing because if they failed, and then they were like, okay, well, yeah, now we'll go from $86 to 74, and they were like almost afraid of the customer saying, well, why didn't you just like do that rate in the beginning, you know? And so guys were almost afraid again, yeah, just even drop financing price because then the awkward interaction of having to lower the bill for $10 for no reason. And just what we trained last year on this, as you remember, is kind of like what you just said. You just you blame it on the company. So it's not you, it's not Nathan's fault. So I'll just say, oh yeah, so that's the rate we're supposed to give you. You're supposed to pay $86, and so this is like a plan B that we use rarely if needed to get you qualified. So that it's happened to me like a few times. It actually doesn't happen to me a whole lot, but the once or few times that it's happened, that's what I'll say. Like, yeah, why did you just drop that price in the beginning? Then yeah, oh yeah, no, that's just the backup plan that we use sometimes. They have us give you the first rate. So
Right. And you can say like they make it a trade off. Yeah, I could do that rate, but most people want to they don't want to pay for all those extra smart devices and cameras up front. And so we just make it easy and add it into your monthly. A lot of people like that better. But if I need to, I can always make the system a little bit smaller, and we just
Yeah.
take a couple things off the list. So
The
they
the thing,
understand it's not like I'm trying to upcharge them. It's just a
yeah.
trade off.
And well, yeah, because like for example, $86 a month is typically the rate for 2 devices and 6 points. So that's where I think you could run into it a little bit because 2 devices and 6 points is 74.99, and then with ADT plus, it's 86
Yeah,
typically.
sure. There's got to be a reason for everything. Like, total. Tell you what, like, you're my last house. I'm gonna do today. Can you keep secret and do it that way? Like, I'm gonna pull some strings. I'm gonna get my boss to do a special approval.
Yeah.
Um, but I can do a friends and family discount. I'll treat you like you're my aunt.
Yep. Yep. I like that.
And
That's good.
make a reason for it. So Dan asks, he said, "What's the main objection that I get when financing?" Um, I don't know. I mean, if you do it right, you don't get an objection. Obviously, the biggest one would probably be like, oh, that's kind of expensive. But and sometimes those are hard to overcome. I mean, if unless I switch it down to regular. But most of the time, it's something else when it comes to that price. It's like, well, I don't want to pay this forever. You know, when is this rate going to go down, or am I locked in or something like that? And so if I do a good enough job at explaining it just like a phone, how like when are you gonna not use a phone? Like you're always gonna have a phone, right? And when your phone gets old, what are you gonna do? You're gonna trade it in and get a new one. So you're gonna almost always be paying for a phone, and you're always gonna pay for service. So it's the same thing. If you get a phone with Verizon or any company and you're making payments on it, are you in a contract? Well, yeah. If you don't make payments, then you can't make calls. Like they cut the service. Like obviously you're expected to pay it off. So I always ask them, well, yeah, like how long do you want your family protected? And we can just cut it off whenever you don't want it, or when I'm to be protected anymore. And I'll be like, I'm just teasing. Obviously you want them protected all the time, right? Yeah. We obviously would love for you to keep this, as long as you're in the home, or, as long as you can. And so the nice thing is um we actually will guarantee your rate to go down and not up, because you're going to have this all the time. And we know that with inflation, everything's only getting more expensive. The nice thing for you is by getting it now and not later with the rising costs, you actually know that instead of waiting 2 years and paying 20 bucks more for the exact same stuff, you're getting it for a cheaper rate, and down the road it's guaranteed to drop down even cheaper. So I'll explain the after I get them qualified for financing and say like this is what we're doing, a payment plan, and this is why. Then I'll just make it like it's a positive, it's a good thing that we're doing the financing, because that 86 bucks is guaranteed to go down, and we found that people are actually going to more likely to stick with us longer, and we have more retention when they know the rate's going to get cheaper and not go up, like your internet, like your phone bill. You know how they're always messing with it and it's going, or insurance, they're always changing it. If you knew it was going to actually stay the same, if not go down, you'd probably stick with them forever, right? Same thing with the alarm. You always want your family protected. It's something we're always going to need. Crime's only going up. And so this something hope we hope you will be able to keep this for as long as possible. We don't make you stick with us forever, but what's nice is after the equipment's paid off, your bill automatically drops down to just 58 bucks. That's it. And you can call ADT and get the monitoring lower, so that 58 bucks you cut it in half at that point. And then now you're paying 30 bucks. So that's the cool thing. So longer you're with us, cheaper it gets, and then I'll move on. And now they're like, oh, okay, well, yeah. So if they really want it and they're just concerned about cost, I can do that. And then I might throw an ace. Like, tell you what, I know you said you just had surgery and you're concerned about all this. Um, tell you what I'll do. I'll for the equipment portion, it was like 20 bucks. I'll cover the equipment portion for the first 6 months. So you don't have to mess with it. You just take care of the 58. And then after that, you take over. So I'll say something like that. That's 20 bucks times six, 120 bucks. That's not that bad, Or even if I really need to, like sometimes I've done like first whole year of equipment, 120 bucks, that'd be 240. So it's not terrible. I'm still making 600 up front. and the back end. So you have to weigh those out. What kind of aces you want to do, but most of the time, objection I'll get is going to be cost, and usually it's something behind that. And so you can ask them, what's really behind, what's your real concern, aside from cost, what what would um what would be the major thing that would keep you from doing this today? And like, oh well, we're thinking about moving. I don't know if I'm gonna be in this house for a whole 5 years. Oh, well, yeah, that's the nice thing. We'll move it wherever you go, AT's nationwide, and then you figure out what the real issue is, and then overcome it. So, I think that answers that question, Dan. Um, also wanted to so I'll just go over those headings, those little bullet points. I would write this down because this is going to make you a lot more money this summer and help protect your pay too, so you're not losing being paid less than the standard 300 up front. So for building value, you sit down, use a schedule of protection SOP or a piece of paper um, to write down the cost of a regular alarm system, circle it, and the main the big price at the bottom. Compare smart home to smartphone, and then tell them what a normal phone bill is. Ask them what theirs is. Um, then tell them what a normal alarm bill is, and then break down that bill. Break down that pricing. If you say it's 140, break it down so that it equals 140. Cellular, monitoring, cloud storage, equipment. And then after you tell them that, say we're going to do something different. Do all the discounts. Do all the special discounts for them, and then drop the rate. Congratulations. Yeah, we actually got your rate down $50 cheaper than the normal rate. So yeah, basically cut it in half, and it's just $86. That's it. And then move on, qualify, set them up like normal, all the way down to billing, and then do the financing paperwork. Does all that make sense? I wanted to go over a couple other things. Well, basically my last point, since we've been on for it's almost 10. So, um, one thing with activation, if you don't do the financing and you're not comfortable with that yet, you can still make an extra $200. I used to do this before we had the financing option. Just use the schedule of protection, the SOP at the bottom. It says activation. So you could say cross out the cost of the equipment, cross out the warranty, cross out the install. I'll say, yeah, we'll cover everything. The only thing we have you guys take care of is just to activate the cell chip in the panel, because actually the cell phone companies do that. They charge ADT. We just pass it on to you guys because that's not something we charge. That's what they're charging us to connect it to their towers. Just like when you bought your phone, right? And then I'll be like, yeah, when you bought your phone, remember when they had to activate the SIM card? They charge you an activation. It's the same thing. And so that's what I used to do. And then I would just move on. But I'll say, yeah, that install though and the warranty, I'm going to see if we can get those two waived. It just depends on how we qualify. And then I'll see. Let's do that real quick, and let's see if we can qualify for that. So that's what I used to do. And then you're making extra $200 with the 300, and I used to do that all the time. But now with financing, I don't do that very much. I usually just do either the finance or the regular deal and waive the activation if I can. The last thing I want to touch on is selling late deals. You can make an extra deal every day or every other day just by setting appointments correctly and being in a house late. And that way, when it's dark, you're not walking around in the dark. You're actually inside somebody's house and where it's nice and warm. Um, so what I'll do is throughout the day, beginning of the day, I'll be setting appointments. If I think I knocked on a house with two cars and I thought that there was going to be a decision maker there, but there wasn't, and they're not going to be there till later, I'll say, cool. Well, when's a good time? When's like the best time to get a hold of him? Some people don't like when does he get home because they're like, well, why do you want to know that? I don't want to tell you that. Like if it's a younger lady or something, if it's like one of the kids, like they don't care, they don't get weirded out. But if it's some people can be a little weird, so I'll just say, Yeah, once you get home, one times you get home, I'll see if I'm close. I'll see if I'm in the area still. Make it look like you don't even know if you're going to be there because you're so busy because your time is valuable. And then they'll say, "Oh, 7, okay. Well, I'll see if I can swing back around. Um, what's a good callback number? So in case I miss you today, I can send you a text with my direct line. That way they know, one, you're getting their buying temperature. If they're not interested at all, then they won't give you their number. If they're a little bit interested, they'll be okay with giving you their number because they want you to contact them. And um, then I'll make it look like that it's just me texting them, not like because some people are like, I don't want to give you my number because they don't want to get bombarded with text messages. It's just your number, your direct line. So I'll give you my personal cell. I don't give it out very much, but I can do that for your husband since I know that's something you're wanting. And then do that 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and make sure to ask them, hey, when I swing back around, it'll be probably around like 6 or 7. That's when it's getting dark right now. Is that okay? Okay, cool. Just let you know if it's a little bit dark, you get a knock on the door. It's me. So if you want to turn the porch light on, that would be great. So that way they already know, they already have a heads up. They're expecting you. They know it might be a little bit dark. They know they're gonna be putting their kids to bed, and you're gonna knock on the door and you're not gonna get them upset. So do that beforehand. Otherwise, it's not a real good callback. Because we might move the next day, and then you wanted to go to that callback, but you don't have their number, and so you have no way to get a hold of them. They don't have any way to get a hold of you. If you give out your number, they're probably not gonna call you. So make sure you get their number. So always do that. You do that enough, you'll get an extra 1 or 2 deals every day, and that's gonna just add to your pay. That extra deal every other night could be the difference in your pay jump. So do that. Knock 2 streets during the day. Turn around halfway through the day and finish those streets, and then hit your callbacks once the sun's basically going down, so that you're not knocking fresh doors when it's dark. So that's kind of my regimen. Does anybody have any questions about what we talked about so far? And did you guys all take notes on little headings over the finance steps? Cool. So, um, Dan or Brad, do you guys have anything else that you think we need to go over?
Dan's mic's having a little bit of issues, but I think you did great. TJ, do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's pretty much it. I just being effective. Make sure you mention when you're pitching. Don't say we're paying everything. Say we'll cover all the upfront cost, uh, and then just give them the system they want every time. Build them the system they want every single time. I usually do, a doorbell, outdoor camera, and a smart lock, maybe another camera, and then everything they need inside. Then when you drop the rate, you're giving them what they want. Ultimately, I'd rather give them a bigger system, have them pay a little bit more because they're gonna be more happy using all that equipment versus giving them a really small system, charge them $75, and then all they have is that one camera in the inside system. They have less keeping them connected to paying that rate. So if you have more stuff connected, they're more likely to be a stickier customer. And when you finance too, they're definitely, you know, they're they're definitely going to stick a little bit longer. They're more likely to keep paying their bill. So if you do that, that's going to help you. It's going to just help you a ton with your pay, and especially in your back end. That did definitely helped me a lot. I got paid basically at like close to the 250 pay scale, or between 220 and 250, and I didn't even hit 200 installs. Well, 200 clean installs. I was at like 188 or something like that. I had some accounts go bad. So that's it's definitely gonna make a huge jump in your pay by financing. So let's all work on that. But thanks for joining, everybody. Pat, do you have anything else you want
No,
to
I
add?
think it was great. going over all the steps and everything that you do, because I mean, you produce results that are excellent. But yes, thank you so much. And did anyone else have any questions for him? Okay, well then let's do what Dan said and go make a bunch of money.
All right, awesome. Appreciate you guys for jumping on, everybody. William and Adam, Thomas, Tegan, everybody that yeah, thanks for everybody jumping on. So we'll see you guys.
Thank you.
All right, bye.